Okay, so we're fresh off the Jake Paul v Chavez Jr. fight. Jake Paul wins a 10-round decision in a fight where it pretty much confirmed everything everybody already knew about both fighters. Jake Paul boxed pretty well. He was able to put his punches together. Clearly the much bigger guy in there. Clearly the much more powerful guy in the fight. And from the get-go, that was clear. From the early rounds, you could see that one Jake Paul punch was not equal to one Chavez Jr. punch. Chavez Jr. looked a lot older, a lot slower. He looked like how he looked in his recent fights, right? To be fair to Chavez, I wasn't expecting him to go the distance, if I'm being honest. I'm surprised that once early on in the fight, he realised he's really got no path to victory. I'm surprised he didn't, retire or take a knee or retire in his corner or do something like that. Or, like I said, take a knee. I wouldn't have thought... Jake Paul could have stopped him if he had, put more punches together. Because when he would have Chavez Jr. against the ropes and land a combo, he would sort of stop, take a step back, reset. Obviously, because he's quite a big guy and he knows he's got to go 10 rounds, he doesn't want to gas himself out. Obviously, that makes sense from Jake Paul and probably is the smart thing to do rather than going for the kill against a guy like Chavez Jr. Because at this point, Chavez Jr., he is still a veteran and he's seen everything there is to see. And even if you unload and maybe you hurt him, but you don't stop him, and now your gas tank's empty, Chavez Jr. is still going to be there, and he was still trying to apply pressure. That being said, he was getting caught pretty much every time he was trying to walk forward and close the gap. Every now and again, of course, he would land some shots on Jake Paul, but nothing really significant. Obviously, the crowd was behind Chavez Jr., but like Floyd said, the crowd can't fight for you. And it was a pretty routine win for Jake Paul. Again, a pretty good performance from him. Put his punches together nicely, moved about the ring. Never was really in any real danger, if we're being honest. Was never in any real danger against Chavez Jr. And wins the 10-round decision. Now, what we're hearing from Jake Paul is that he's going to be ranked in the cruiserweight rankings now in the top 15 for some governing bodies, which means some world champions could face him as a voluntary defence. And obviously, the amount of money Jake Paul brings to a fight, and you're a world champion, you'd be crazy to not consider that as an option. Especially if you're a guy like Zerdo, who just got paid £1 million to fight Dorticus. You could be looking at, 3, 4, 5 times that against Jake Paul. Right? And as a voluntary defence, who knows? Obviously, it depends on the governing bodies and if they would allow that, because these champions likely do have mandatory challengers who they need to face. But that's all stuff that we've done in the background. That's all the boring admin business stuff. But Jake Paul with another win. Dominant performance. Ran through Chavez Jr. Didn't stop him, but comprehensively outboxed him. And obviously, he's the much bigger guy in there. And you could see that from the amount of time it would take him to close the distance, because Jake Paul's got a smaller distance to cover because he's so much bigger than him, right? And even when the punches were landing, like a thud, you could hear that the difference in the thud was crazy, right? These are two guys that shouldn't really be fighting each other, You've got a guy in Chavez Jr. who's basically fighting at cruiserweight because he's old and fat, against Jake Paul, who's a young man who's cutting down to cruiserweight. Who's really his last fight was at heavyweight. Now, Jake Paul's not a heavyweight, but he's clearly not a small guy. He's clearly a thick guy, right? So yeah, we've got all that to consider. I'd imagine Jake Paul's next fight would be against someone ranked, maybe a world champion, but who knows? And we'll see what's next for both guys. But yeah, another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.